Have you seen on TikTok where people cut out a picture of Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart? It's for the scene where she's on his back when they're going through the trees and they put it on top of their Christmas tree.
No.
Oh my God. After this, you have to look up Twilight Christmas decorations. It's so funny.
Instead of ho, 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 we say hoa, hoa, hoa.
Okay. That was incredibly clever. I'm so in awe of you right now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Bookshelf Fantasy Podcast. We, Addison and Lorraine, are two best friends who explore the world of fantasy through books, shows, and movies, but with a heavy emphasis on books. We are very excited for our bonus episode today because, one, it's almost Christmas, if you celebrate that, and otherwise, we wish everyone a happy holiday season. And two, this is a fun change of pace from our usual episodes, and we thought it would be a great way to get into the holiday spirit.
And when we say get into the holiday spirit, we mean it. I'm wearing Christmas jammies. Lorraine is wearing a doggy, kitty, multi-animal, jingly Christmas sweater. I made my bougie hot chocolate, which I will be talking about in this episode. I don't know what Lorraine's drinking. She did something weird with the microwave. I don't know. It offended me, so I didn't want to hear about it.
That's not true. We're going to get into this now, actually.
Oh, that's right.
Of which Addison was like wanting to make hot chocolate. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just microwave it. I'll just microwave the milk, right? Because I don't see what's wrong with that. But she's like, no. You need to heat it up on the stove. And so I tried this. Okay, maybe I'm just uncultured or I'm depraved in some way, but I've never made hot chocolate on the stove before. I've always just used milk and like a pre-made hot cocoa mix. And I just put it in the microwave and it always works fine. But this time I tried to do it her way, but I didn't know you were supposed to put the chocolate chips in the milk and boil everything together at the same time. So I did them separately. I put the chocolate chips in the microwave and then I boiled the milk. And then I tried to mix them together. And I had a really hard time. It worked. I got it mixed eventually, but it doesn't look as pretty. It was a lot more work than had I just microwaved everything from the beginning.
It's just so funny to me because they make hot chocolate bombs and people don't melt the hot chocolate bombs before they put it into their hot milk.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know, but you microwaved it.
Yeah. Well, I microwaved part of it. But yeah. Anyways, meanwhile, Addison, bougie over here, has a whole little brulee torch thing and she torched her marshmallows and everything. So go ahead and explain your process here.
Okay, so here's how I do it. Strongly prefer whole milk if I have it, but if not, 2%. The higher the fat content, the better it's going to be. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Some people like to mix cream in there. Hit or miss on that. And then you put that on the stove. And then I do have a hot chocolate mix that I like to use, like a powdered, but I have tested many, many, many of them. And this is like the tried and true one that is like actually delicious. I mean, it's bougie. It's a little pricey. It's not like insane, but when you think about buying a box of Swiss Miss, you'll probably be like, this is a little pricey, but it's totally worth it. Okay. So then you whisk it together. And then at some point, once it's incorporated, then I take a milk frother and I froth it as it continues to come to temperature. And then when it gets to 165 degrees, that's when I pour it into the cups. And then I make homemade marshmallows. It's not as hard as it sounds. And then I put the marshmallows in, I brulee them. And then my husband doesn't like whipped cream, but I do. So I also make homemade whipped cream. And then I put that on there. I also froth it a few times in between. And boom, the perfect cup of hot chocolate.
Dang.
I know. I'm going to make it for you when I come see you. Well, but then you'll be sad because I'll ruin all of their hot chocolate for you. You'll be like, wow, I'm literally drinking toilet water compared to Addison's hot chocolate.
Addison is Martha Stewart, in case nobody knew.
I'm quite the baker, actually. I like to bake.
I am not really much of a baker.
My first dream is obviously the podcast, and then my second is opening my own bakery. So when the podcast is really successful, then I'll have my bakery, and then I'll use both of the platforms I'll be like, come read Akatar at my bakery while you eat warm cookies.
Come read TOG and eat some of my pear tarts.
Don't get started with those pear tarts. Those are a trigger for me, okay?
Anyways, let's get back on track. So, content warning. We would like to remind everyone that this is an adult podcast. And while I don't anticipate any triggering topics being discussed today because it's a fun holiday episode, you never know.
I may get drunk on the hot chocolate and go to a weird place, okay?
Did you spike it?
No.
Is there something you're not? Is that the secret to your hot
No.
chocolate?
No. I just mean like on a sugar high. It's the holiday spirit. I'm with my best friend. I'm drinking hot chocolate. We're answering Christmas questions or holiday questions or book questions. So, you know, but actually, record scratch on that. I definitely have a trigger warning. I have some very strong Christmas opinions about movies, books, decorations, actually basically everything related to Christmas that I feel very passionately about, as is evidenced by how I make my hot chocolate. So there's a good chance I might end up saying your favorite Christmas movie or song is terrible. I will not back down. I will stand by it. And yeah, so trigger warning on that if you're easily offended. This is not the episode for you.
Damn. I didn't thought.
I didn't thought. I already scared Lorraine. She's like too scared to think straight.
I didn't think things would get heated here today, but I guess that stands to be seen.
I treat Christmas like it's a job, but like a fun job that I want to do, not in a bad way. I love Christmas. I love all the parts of it, everything about it. I love it. As you're about to find out.
Buddy the elf is here with us today.
Yes, the best way to spread Christmas cheer is to sing loud for all to hear.
Okay, but at bare minimum, we do occasionally swear on this podcast. I've already sworn, I think, already. So
me too. I was just thinking
that. Sorry, guys.
Also, please note, while this is an Ask Us Anything episode, and there will not be any plot spoilers for any of the books Lorraine or I have read, whether we've covered them on the podcast or not, people did ask us generic questions about the fantasy genre, so we obviously had to reference those books and or characters. So, to clarify, there are no spoilers for the plot, but we did reference characters or places from several different fantasy book series, as well as House of the Dragon. So this is your warning.
Housekeeping. First off, we are fast approaching Onyx Storm's highly anticipated release. So, Addison, where are we at with the Onyx Storm countdown?
All right, today is December 16th, and there are 36 days until Onyx Storm is released, and we cannot wait.
Second, if you are enjoying the show, then the very best way for you to support us is to leave a review and share it with a friend.
Yes, it's December 16th, and I know there are a lot of Christmas procrastinators out there, so if you're panicking because you still have gifts to buy, I have a solution for you. Give them Throne of Glass or Fourth Wing or Akatar, one of those, but preferably for our purposes, Throne of Glass or Fourth Wing. Physical copy, Kindle, audiobook, however they consume, and then send them our podcast so they can read and follow along. And then this is a gift that keeps on giving forever, basically. You can make plans with them to hang out and talk about TOG or Fourth Wing. And trust me, they will thank you for it. They will love you for it. And in fact, they'll probably say, wow, you really gave me the best gift I've ever received. And you can be like, wow, Addison, thank you for giving me this brilliant idea. And then you can text me and tell me that I did a great job.
Yeah, that's right. Don't forget, guys, you can text us. The link is in the show description. So get to it. All right. So now let's get into our questions. And thank you, everybody who did take some time to send us some questions. We had a lot of fun answering these. Some of these were quite thought-provoking, I will say. I really had to think about them to give a good answer.
I was just going to say several of these questions are from Haley and Vicky. I just have to say I really thought people would text us, what's your favorite Christmas movie or what's your favorite song? Stuff like that. But Haley and Vicky and a couple other listeners as well, but they sent like a lot of questions. They came up with these questions like a professor writing their final exam. Okay. And the professor was also mad at the students and they're like, I'm going to make this as challenging as possible. You're going to sit here for 3 hours and do your written part of the exam. But they are fantastic questions. So thank you, Haley, Vicky, and everyone else that sent in questions. We tried to give credit wherever we could, but some of you did not send in your names. So if you didn't, we have no way to identify you. But if you did send one in, thank you very much.
And without further ado, let's get started. Question number 1. What's your favorite book, movie, show, or specific episode of a show that you like to revisit around the holidays?
Okay, right out the gate, guys, I'm going to tell you, I think the first two questions I typed a lot. Okay, I did a lot, but they're very thoughtful answers. After that, they get much shorter, so they'll be a little bit easier to move through. So don't panic when you hear me talk for like 4 minutes about my favorite Christmas movie. Let me start by saying that I would consider myself a bit of a cinephile. I love movies, TV shows too, although I do watch less and less TV because, one, I don't have time, and also because I feel like the quality of TV shows has overall decreased. That's a tangent for another day. All that is to say, I take Christmas movies very seriously, as you can tell by the beginning of this podcast. A few years ago, I compiled a list of basically every notable Christmas movie in existence. I didn't include every single Hallmark movie or anything like that because that would be literally impossible, but I did include some of the more notable ones. And then I started watching them, and after I would finish them, I would decide if I wanted them to make my final cut. Many, many, many movies did not make it, even some beloved Christmas classics. And so in the spirit of that question, I tried to narrow it down by category. My absolute favorite Christmas movie, this is a must-watch for everyone, I don't care your age, and I often watch it multiple times, was a tie between Arthur Christmas and Klaus. Klaus is on Netflix, and it is so funny and beautifully animated. Arthur Christmas is something I never would have picked up on my own based on the trailer. It was part of my I'm going to compile a list project, and it took me completely by surprise, especially the opening 20 minutes. It's really not my kind of Christmas movie. I was really like, what the fuck? People like this? But damn, I am so glad I kept watching it. I remember finishing it and the next day telling my husband, we have to watch this right now. And it's now one of his favorites. So highly, highly, highly recommend. My favorite funny Christmas movies are Elf, obviously, and Bad Moms Christmas. I think that mostly everyone has seen Elf with Will Ferrell, but Bad Moms Christmas is hilarious. Even if you don't have kids, it's really funny. I am not the biggest fan of raunchy humor, but there's a little of that in this movie, but it's tolerable. Christine Baranski plays one of the moms, and she's freaking hysterical. She is well known for many things, but specifically Mamma Mia and playing Martha May in Jim Carrey's version of The Grinch. So just a little Christmas factoid for you there. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My favorite rom-com Christmas movies are Love Hard, starring Nina Dobrev, who was also in The Vampire Diaries, for those of you who watch that show, and Holiday, starring Emma Roberts. Weirdly, Emma Roberts is top tier for like bad rom-coms, but she's great, actually. I don't know why, but she's great. And in my last category, the 3 movies that are the most emotional and touching movies I rewatch every year are The Polar Express. I know that's a pretty popular, almost a classic, really. There's something about it that gets me every time. My only complaint about that movie is the animation is a little jarring at first. It's a little too uncanny valley. You know what I'm talking about? Are you familiar with this concept? Yeah. There's something about it that's a little off, but once you get used to it, you won't even notice it. It's a Wonderful Life. Duh. Okay, duh. And this last one was actually released last year, and it also really took me by surprise. It's called The Holdovers. So it stars Paul Giamatti, and so if you've never seen that one, it's excellent. If you want to have like a back and forth conversation about Christmas movies, please DM me because I have many, many thoughts. But yeah, Lorraine, I hope you don't list any that I think are awful because there are some very popular movies that I think are quite literally offensive. I hate them. So what are your favorites?
Well, now I feel like I really didn't answer these questions very deeply.
I know.
Okay,
I looked at these like for 2. I'm sorry.
Let me caveat. I do enjoy Christmas and the holidays in general. I just didn't grow up in a family that was very, very Christmas gung-ho. My mom's Japanese. So if anything, New Year's was a bigger holiday celebration for us. And my interest in Christmas has primarily been because of activities and things that I did with friends or like my boyfriend's family. Whenever we go and visit them, they celebrate and do a lot of stuff around Christmas time. So I've been getting more into Christmas stuff as I've gotten older, but
totally fair.
Anyways,
you're a normal person. I'm not normal.
It's not that I'm not enthusiastic about it. I just don't have a ton of Christmas experience, I guess, relatively speaking. So.
Oh, we're spending next Christmas together. We're going to do Christmas my way.
But anyways, okay, I just said my like typical go-to movies are The Grinch or Home Alone, mostly because it's typically playing or it's something that we usually watch, when I go stay with family or whatnot. Just something that's always on around the holiday season. So, and I've always enjoyed it.
Those are definitely on my yes list, just not my favorites. But yes, those are great ones. I was really afraid you were going to say A Christmas Story or National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Those are the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen. Fight me. I'm serious. They're terrible. I do not understand why people like them.
I haven't even heard of the second one you mentioned. I don't even know what that is.
Any like major retailer, Walmart, Target, etc., they sell specific decorations to those movies because they're like Christmas classics.
Oh.
Yeah, so Chevy Chase. He's terrible. I hate him. He's such an asshole. I don't understand their appeal. I really don't. Sorry if that's your favorite. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Moving on to question 2. Which magical world would you like to spend Christmas in?
This was difficult, but immediately my mind went to the Akatar world, but only because of the cabin in the mountains. That sounds like a really nice place to spend Christmas. Not necessarily Valaris, but then I started thinking about TOG, and let me add a big caveat here. We're only on Queen of Shadows, so we haven't even made it to Terrasen yet, if we ever do. So I'm basing this only on the descriptions we get in the series, but I think I'd like to be in Terrasen. The idea of beautiful pine trees and snow just sounds so Christmassy to me. Knowing Aylin, she does Christmas in absolute luxury. And I want to be a part of that, okay? I want to be a part of that. I also want to add, I only want to be at either of these places after they've destroyed all the baddie bads. And it's just like all good and fun. I don't want to go there before they've defeated all the evil. I want to go there when it's happy.
So that's actually really funny because it was very similar to what I said. I said Valaris first and foremost because I just feel like they probably go hard for Christmas. It just sounds the city of dreams,
Oh my God.
I would imagine for Christmas. But then my second one, I said, once Terrasen is reborn, I'll probably want to go there too.
Shut up. You did not. Okay. Also, just so you guys know, Lorraine and I answered our questions on separate docs and we did not look at them. She asked me, should we do it in the same? I was like, no, I want to be surprised. So that is so funny. Oh my gosh. Look at us. We'll be in Terrasen together.
Twins.
Where have you been? Okay.
All right. Question number 3. What is your all-time favorite fantasy book series?
Woo! Okay. OG, obviously Harry Potter. Duh. Okay. That needs no explanation. But I have 2 favorite series that come to mind, although one is unfinished, so I can't truly say that it's like one of my favorites of all time. ACOTAR is definitely up there, but it just didn't quite make the cut. But if I had to pick one, I would say The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, also known as the Eragon series. For those of you who haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend it. The world building is unbelievably complex and beautiful, and the character development and growth is off the charts. And of course, there's dragons and magics in it. So it's a no-brainer. My other favorite series that I mentioned earlier that has yet to be finished, so I can't say for sure, is the Empyrean series, also known as Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So those are my top 2.
Ooh.
What about you?
Great choices.
Thank you.
I think we are kind of similar.
Twins
So I
again.
did say twins again. I was going to say this was a little hard for me just because I have more recently got back into fantasy books within this past year. So I don't think I've had enough time to recollect and read a bunch of new series or anything. But prior to that, I also agree that Harry Potter is for sure one of my favorite of all time, just because it was such an integral part of my childhood. And it was like such a hugely defining book series, shows, movies, like everything related to that franchise was a huge part of pop culture for our generation. But more recently speaking, I have a feeling that if TOG pans out how I think it's going to, then I think TOG could definitely take that spot. Maybe I'm getting a little too caught up in the hype, but every book has gotten better and better. So I don't know. I could definitely see this taking the top spot.
I keep waiting for the moment. I've seen so many people on social media say, like, it broke me, it changed me. I've read it 1,000 times. And it's great. I really like it, but I'm not there yet. It doesn't speak to me in that way. I felt it a little bit in Heir of Fire. I did. But right now, ain't got nothing on Aragon, I gotta say, or Fourth Wing. So we'll see.
Fair enough, yeah.
I have faith because in reality, even though we're on the 5th book, I think based on page count, 2/3 of the series is the last 3 books. So in reality, we actually haven't read that much of the series when you think about it from a content-wise.
Yeah, that is fair. All right, question number 4. If you could make any book into a show/movie, what would it be?
Fourth Wing. But
well, lucky for you.
I know. But that's already happening. So then Aragon. But I've done a couple of events, like what do you call those events when they're online? Like e-events? No, that's not right. What do you call those? You know what I mean? Virtual.
I don't know.
I did virtual.
Oh.
Okay. I did a virtual. Yeah, virtual. I couldn't remember the word.
An e-event.
An e-event. Listen, we call it email, not virtual mail. So yeah. I did an e-event with Rebecca Yarros. Oh my God, I said e-event. Damn it. Oh, I can do this. The hot chocolate's getting to me, man. I did a virtual event with Christopher Paolini and Rebecca Yarros, and he has alluded to the fact that Aragon has been picked up by Disney, I think, for a show. So then I would say ACOTAR, but I think that may be in the works too. So I think all of my dreams are coming true.
Wow. Yeah, those are good shows. I just hope that they do them justice.
Oh, I know. If it's bad, the fandom will riot. We will rise up.
Oh, I know. It has to be Game of Thrones quality, basically, or like House of the Dragon. I don't know. HBO needs to like pick up on this because I feel like HBO, I trust HBO to create a good version of these shows, but sometimes I'm a little wary of other networks picking this stuff up because I'm like,
I feel that. I feel the nerves.
Personally speaking, aside from fantasy series, I am a huge psychological thriller and sci-fi lover as well. I think fantasy sometimes is just hard to do because creating magic and making it look realistic on camera, even with CGI and whatever else, is just ultimately hard to do. That's like a really big task to make something that is not real appear real.
And it's expensive. It's really expensive to build those sets and the costuming and all that. So
yes. It could also be that I just still have PTSD from how bad the Twilight movies were.
Those are masterpieces. What are you talking about?
So bad. The books were great. I had no problem with the books, but those movies, I was like, oh, these are so cringy.
Have you seen on TikTok where people cut out a picture of Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart? It's for the scene where she's on his back when they're going through the trees, and they put it on top of their Christmas tree.
No.
Oh my God. After this, you have to look up Twilight Christmas decorations. It's so funny.
Instead of ho, 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 we say hoa, hoa, hoa.
Okay. That was incredibly clever. I'm so in awe of you right now.
Thank you. Anyways, back on track.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually would love to see Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, or more recently, Red Rising. That is a series that I started reading recently. It's kind of similar to Ender's Game or Hunger Games if you like more science fiction stuff. But I think both of those would make really interesting shows. I think they need to be shows because I feel like if you try and do these books as movies, you just can't cover what you need to in such a short amount of time. So
it doesn't translate
it has to be,
well.
Yeah, it has to be a show for sure. Of course, I'm very pumped for the Fourth Wing TV show to come out. And as I just stated, I just really, really hope they do it justice and they don't skip through events or change too many things. Because did you ever watch The Uglies? Or not watch? Did you ever read the Ugly series when you were younger? It's a dystopian, a sci-fi fiction series for teenagers. But I did read that series when I was younger. And they actually just came out with a movie on Netflix. Unfortunately, that just kind of fell flat. I don't know. It just didn't
Aw.
sufficiently cover events and characters for you to feel connected to it. It just kind of ended up cheesy, which also could honestly just be the fact that, again, it was more for teens. And as an adult now, I probably just didn't relate to it as much anymore. But yeah, that was one of those that I was like, this wasn't done as well as it probably could have been. So, question number 5. What type of magical being would you want to be?
This was probably the only question I didn't even have to think about it. Although it'd be nice to be a super gorgeous, immortal, and lethal fae female, I'm going to go with dragon. No questions asked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would say I want to be either a mermaid or one of the 13. Now that we've met them, I want to be a witch. Just anything that allows me to explore a part of the world that I don't currently have access to. Because, mermaids can go deep down into the ocean and then witches can fly. So,
See, I was going to guess mermaid for you. And I really want you to be one of the 13, but we have discussed this on multiple episodes. We do not have what it takes to be a witch, not in the TOG world.
Absolutely
Okay?
not. No.
The only thing I've got going for me is my laugh. Other than my witch laugh, I've got nothing else going for me in that department.
I could be a Kraken witch. We don't know very much about them yet, though.
We don't know shit about them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the plot twists, the Krakens are actually not that great.
I wondered about that. I have wondered about that. Well, this is a question I think probably there's only 2 answer choices, so we couldn't make it too complicated, right? If you could choose, would you pick a snowy white Christmas or a nice weather Christmas?
I actually did have kind of a long response.
Oh my God.
Of all questions.
Of all the questions, this is the one you went all in on.
Yeah, I guess so. So I would say snowy Christmas for literally like 3 days. So you get a before Christmas, a during Christmas, and an after Christmas snowy day, just so that you can get the feeling of Christmas.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, I just want it gone. I ultimately prefer temperate and just warmer climates these days. I actually did grow up in Washington, which not only is pretty dark and gray for like 80% of the year, we also don't get snow super often. So most of the time it's just like wet, bone chilling cold. Don't get me wrong, Washington is stunningly beautiful, especially in the summer, but I've lived in several different regions of the US at this point, and I just have come to enjoy at least seeing the sun most days. So I need to see the sun and I need it to be a little warmer.
So you grew up in Hoa Hoa weather.
I did indeed. Yeah. Forks, Washington.
You grew up in Forks?
No, I didn't grow up in Forks.
Oh,
but
I was like,
Forks
first
is
of all,
in Washington.
Oh my God.
That's where
yes,
it's filmed,
okay.
So
I was like, first of all, don't share that personal information on the podcast. Okay, people will find you. And second of all, I'm like, how could you not have told me that privately? Because that is something I would have really needed to know about you. Well, for me, I live for that Hoa Hoa weather, but I also live in Texas where the sun's out all the time and it's blistering. I hate it. So this one was a no-brainer. Snowy white Christmas all the way. I live in Texas. And the last several years, there have been Christmases where I wore a short dress, not going to the club short, but short. And I was sweating. Okay. I was sweating and I was hangry, not hungry, angry, hot, angry. I was hot. I was sweating and I was annoyed. And if it's not cold outside, it's not Christmas. And also we never get snow here. So that's really depressing. I love snow. I don't care about driving in it. I don't care about any of that. Give it to me. Give me all the snow.
Sounds like you need to move.
That's our plan in 3 to 5 years.
One day.
All right. Next question. This question is from Vicky. If the characters from the House of the Dragon were left on Survivor Island, who would win and be the last person standing?
Ew. I would say Damon for sure. He's always scheming and he's old enough and has been in enough battles to have both like the political plus basic survival experience. Plus, he's willing to be cutthroat. And I would imagine you kind of have to be that in a survival situation. What about you?
I have not watched Survivor for a decade plus, but I'm familiar enough so I can answer this question with authority. At first, I was like, oh, this is so easy. But then I thought about it a little bit. I want to say Allison because she's extremely clever, but ultimately she could never take Damon or Aemond in a one-on-one combat. So I think it
Yes.
would probably come down to those two, as I think it will in the actual TV show. I'm going to say Daemon just because, well, he's Daemon fucking Targaryen. I don't know. What else do you want me to say? He's Daemon fucking Targaryen.
That's
Of course
right.
it'd be Daemon, you know?
Yep.
Well, staying in the House of the Dragon realm, this question is from Kevin. Do you think the members of House Targaryen roast their chestnuts with dragon fire?
It's just such a random question.
I know.
And I would say they sure do. Although this probably has to occur outside because otherwise they'd probably burn down their buildings. So,
yeah, I said this is probably the best question we received. And absolutely, it's 100% yes. And so I just imagine them literally having a swimming pool size, like, I don't know, bowl, pit, whatever of chestnuts they take into the dragon pit and they're just like roast them, you know? And now I'm sad because I really want to try some by dragon fire and I'll never get to do that.
perfectly roasted chestnuts.
By dragon fire. I know.
Dragon chestnuts.
Dragon chestnuts. Someday. All right. Going a little bit in a different direction. If you had to choose a new podcast theme, what would it be? And it doesn't necessarily have to be with me. It could be with anyone or anything.
I was going to say I wouldn't change anything. I think our theme is perfect.
Oh.
But if I had to choose, I may just expand the name to something more generically book related instead of just fantasy, so we could cover a wider variety of books.
Okay.
But enough. Fantasy is great. And yeah, overall, I love our podcast theme and I wouldn't change it.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I took the question a little differently. I wouldn't change anything about this podcast. I just meant,
okay.
If I had to start a new podcast, what would it be? That's how I took it. So this is actually a very easy question for me. And this is not an announcement or anything, but I have a skeleton of a podcast worked out on parenting. It would be incredibly different from this, not just content-wise, but length, format, etc. And it will definitely not be anytime soon because all of my focus and energy and love is being channeled into this particular podcast. But if I had to do a different one for whatever reason, I would do it on parenting.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. I can see you doing that.
Thank you. I love bossing people around. Okay. Which of the characters that we've talked about on the podcast do you relate to the most?
This was another tough question for me. I would actually say maybe Nesrin, if I'm being like very realistic, because I have one parent who is an immigrant and grew up multiculturally, but personality wise, I think I am generally pretty middle grounded about most things. And I just tend to put my head down and do whatever is necessary and just kind of like do the work without too much fuss or anything like that. So I'd love to say that I have main character energy, but truthfully, I think I'm more of a behind the scenes type of character because I just work better as like a supporter.
Well, first of all, Nesrin can definitely stand on her own. I think she's totally capable of that. I know that's not the focus of her character right now, but you totally give main character energy. And as you're saying it, the more I think about it, I'm like, wow, you really are a Nesrin. You really are. Although she's a little bit more cold on the exterior than you are, but maybe that's because we don't know her yet. We have to warm up.
Right,
but,
true.
Wow, yours is really good. I struggled with this question. So I'm just going to go for what I wrote, okay?
Yeah, full set.
So first, let me say my first thought was Violet Sorrengail from the Fourth Wing series, but I excluded her because we haven't really talked about her on the podcast. I don't want to do any spoilers or anything like that. And then same for some of the characters in ACOTAR. So based on what we've covered on this podcast, I feel like this question is hard because all of the characters we discussed live in a fantasy world and face extreme challenges and difficulties that for obvious reasons aren't real world applicable. I'm going to say part Otto Hightower and part Chaol. Both characters are relentless in their pursuit of their goal and to a certain extent their morals and ideologies on how things should be done. They're both very rigid in the sense that they need things to be done in a way that they think is right, and they can be inflexible. I like to think that I'm a very open person, and I am in the way I love and accept people. I don't want you to think I'm a meanie. I'm nice. But I am very stubborn, and I like things done a certain way. And I can be a bit controlling in situations, sometimes to my detriment. I really struggle with that sometimes, something I'm working on. And I feel like Otto and Kale give that kind of energy. And I do not like when things don't go my way and don't go in the way I want them to. I really struggle with that. So I feel in a way I'm very similar to Kale and Otto Hightower in that respect.
That's very insightful.
Thank you.
And like introspective of you.
I had to dig really deep. I had to dig really deep because of course I wanted to be like, I'm obviously Aelin Galathania. It's like no question. I'm not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
I'm like the farthest thing from me.
Exactly.
Okay. Question 11. What is your favorite holiday treat?
Boom. Easy. Homemade hot chocolate with homemade marshmallows and homemade whipped cream. Chef's kiss. Okay. It's to die for. My second favorite would be probably Christmas sugar cookies, like the kind you roll out with buttercream and sprinkles. No whipped icing. Whipped icing is an abomination.
Wait, what's the difference between regular icing and whipped icing?
Buttercream is made with butter that is creamed, basically. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And whipped, I don't even know what the fuck they make it out of because it's so disgusting. I won't make it. There ain't no butter in there.
Oh,
I don't know actually.
Okay,
I used to know that off the top of my head.
I know buttercream. Okay, you're right. Yeah, buttercream frosting is definitely way better.
Oh, yeah. Whipped icing is gross.
Is that the one that just has powdered sugar, basically?
Okay, I got you. Sorry. So buttercream is made with powdered sugar and butter. Whipped frosting is mostly made of heavy cream and sugar that's whipped. It's almost like a whipped cream. I don't know. It's gross. I'm sure you've had both. When you go to the grocery store and you buy a cake, they either have buttercream or whipped icing. And whipped is, no. I feel very strongly about that.
Give me that butter.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, my favorite holiday treat is actually from Thanksgiving.
Ooh, what is it?
It's pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
I love pumpkin pie. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I do really like cinnamon rolls too.
I make good cinnamon rolls. I make really good cinnamon rolls.
My boyfriend's parents make cinnamon rolls. We just had some for Thanksgiving one of these mornings, and homemade
they're always
rolls
good.
Are so good.
Okay,
yeah.
Like real talk, I used to think this was so weird when you go to any kind of pizza buffet and they're doing the cinnamon rolls. Cece's, I'm looking at you, and I'm like, cinnamon rolls? Ugh. But they're always good. Morning, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I don't care. They're always good. They're always good. Funnily enough, we don't have cinnamon rolls very often because I don't know. We just don't. But there was like one time, it was like in the last 6 months, my husband and I, we've had a difficult time the last 6 months. We had a lot of things happen, like health-wise with family and moving. I literally would need like an entire episode to walk you through everything that's gone on. And so my husband looked at me and he's like, what do you want to do for dinner? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to eat cinnamon rolls for dinner. And he's like, Cinnies for Dinnies? And I was like, Cinnies for Dinnies? And so he won't listen to this until after it's done. But I got on Etsy. I got a custom logo made that says Cinnies for Dinnies. And I'm going to put them on a pajama top shirt. And I bought bottoms that match the aesthetic. And so that's going to be my Christmas gift to him is Cinnies for Dinnies jammies.
Wait, that's so funny. Did you put little cinnamon roll like images on it?
Well, it's just like one big cinnamon roll in the middle. Okay, once I actually get them, I'll make a reel posting them on the podcast so you guys can see them. Cinnies for Dinnies. And so funny. I'm not going to lie, during these difficult times, there have been a few times where he's like, Cinnies for Dinnies? And I'm like, Cinnies for Dinnies, baby.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Okay, when I come visit, we'll do Cinnies for Dinnies, okay?
I love cinnamon rolls, yes. Deal. Handshake. An e-handshake.
A virtual handshake. Damn it, that joke's never going to die now. Shit.
Never. Okay, question number 12. What is your favorite podcast moment so far?
This question was so hard. There have been so many wonderful moments during this journey. With that being said, I couldn't pick just one. So I picked a couple of kind of broader moments. There have been many episodes where it got way too late and we both got goofy as hell. And then it would take even longer because we couldn't focus or stop laughing. And they were just like the funniest episodes. I would finish that. Yeah. I'd go to bed. I was just like, oh, this is the best time. It's like 1 a.m. And I'm just like, we're such idiots. Like, why can't we just shut up and focus? But they're just so fun. I also love when one of us has to eat it. And by that, I mean is if we disagree on something specific and then we get to the next set of chapters or later on in the book and we're like, I fucking told you so, in a nice way, but still, it feels good. Okay. And a little teaser for an upcoming Queen of Shadows episode. This specific situation has actually happened. And I screamed in a hilarious rage when I got to this particular chapter because it was something Lorraine kept insisting. And I was like, that's stupid. Quit saying that. Like, no. And oh man, I was literally listening to the audiobook in my car and I was like, I was so mad. So mad. And then my last favorite moment, this is more specific. I remember we started the podcast. We were recording 2 episodes a week. It was insane. It was so much work getting everything set up. And I mean, we didn't know anything. We were like literally Dr. Googling everything. We're like, how do we do this? How do we do this? What the hell is an RSS feed? We knew nothing. And it was House of the Dragon, season 1, episode 5. It is when Rhaenyra gets married to Laenor. I remember doing that episode. And so there are 2 things specifically. Number 1, I remember we finished and we're like, wow, that was a good episode. Did you feel like there was just this feeling like I knew that we had hit our stride? And I'm like, we did it, Lorraine. That was a great episode. It went smoothly. The transitions. I really feel like we found our footing from there, and, moving forward. And then actually, we were just talking about this recently. The intro of that episode is one of my most favoriteest ones of all time. It's when you're like, well, it's a problem because obviously it's her wedding and she can't be caught kissing your uncle at her wedding. The way you said it, it was just so funny. And to this day, it still makes me laugh. One of my favorite moments.
Said that.
I didn't. Well, because I listened to the intro like 50 times when I was editing, and it's still funny to me. It's still funny. And true. You can't be caught kissing your uncle at your wedding.
So true. Yeah. That is evergreen advice, to say the least. So as far as my favorite podcast moments go, we've had a lot of great memories, but I think one of my favorite things was the moment that we got our first text message and review. Like, we were so excited.
I know.
So excited. That was like, I don't even know how to explain it. I think it's because it also came at a time when we were just, having a hard time with the podcast. We had a lot going on. We were just feeling a little run down, I think, and getting the text messages and the reviews come in. We felt like, oh my gosh, it's coming together. And so, as I always joke, we're like, whenever we're having a hard time, we'll always just be like, nobody cares, work harder.
Nobody cares.
Every so often, when you do get a nice little text,
oh my God,
you're like, thank you.
Guys, I hope you know that anytime we say that, we genuinely mean it. Like, it really does mean so much to us for you to take the time, even just to rate it, but especially to write a review. That takes your time, and we really value your time. And we love that you even just listen and share your time with us. I still remember that very first review. It was from Blaine Lane. And I was like, because you see your data and you know people are listening to it, but it feels so different when you're like, a real person is actually listening and they like something that I made. And it feels so good. It's like a warm hug with a warm cup of hot chocolate. Exactly. My hot chocolate, not Lorraine. But truly, it actually really does mean so much to us, guys. We really do appreciate it. Just taking the time to listen. We really do love it.
But in general, I just enjoy our recording days because it's basically just a built-in way for us to talk every week. Not that we don't do that aside from the podcast anyway, but
when you think about your friends, right, even your best friends, how often do you really talk to them or see them? Especially once you get a little bit older and married, kids, etc. Life gets busier. It gets harder with work and everything. And so when you actually spend 3 to 4 hours a week recording face to face, or, an e-meeting,
e-recording and e-meeting,
that's a lot of time. And so it's nice. You don't realize how much time you don't spend with someone until you start spending a lot of time. You're like, wow, I like seeing you every week. And so when we've had interruptions like hurricanes or family medical events and we go a long time without recording, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see you. I'm like, wow. So it is nice.
You're like a little phantom limb, as SJM likes to say. When you're not there, it's missing. So
I don't think that's what SGM meant by that, but I'll take it.
I like it, and I'm gonna keep saying it.
Okay, I'm your phantom limb.
Yes. Okay. Question 13. If you could bring one fantasy character to life, who would it be and why?
This needs no explanation. I will not give one. I don't need to. You already know, and if you don't, you need to get on board. Xaden Ryerson. It needs no explanation, no context. Xaden Ryerson.
That's very in line with your love of shadow daddies from fantasy series, so that checks out. I went in a very different direction, and I said I would bring Abraxos to life. I just love him, and I would give anything to have a real life dragon or wyvern come to life. Also, Abraxos just really reminds me of my dog Ernie. So Ernie's my little dog version of Abraxos, but
that's a really good
so
one.
Cute.
Well, that's
but
great.
I actually did Google some prehistoric dinosaurs and animals that resemble dragons, and the closest thing is one called a pterosaur, and those are ancient flying reptiles, although their skulls honestly look more like birds than the way that we like AIR and how we typically draw dragons to look.
Interesting.
But we did have giant flying reptiles a very long time ago, so
well, that'll be good. You can ride Abraxos, and I'll
you set yourself up for that one so bad.
My face is so red. That is not the direction. Oh my. I really set myself up because I was like, oh, you can ride a dragon, but I guess you can ride a wing leader, you know? I don't know. You tell me. I will spend time with the wing leader.
Spend time, quote unquote.
Oh my God, my face is so red. I think I'm going to have to cut that out of the podcast.
I think we need to know what your signet would be, just so we can tell when you're spending time.
I don't know how to think on that. We'll do an Onyx Storm AMA. I need to think on what my signet power would be.
Think about it.
I can't believe I said that out loud.
I can't believe you did either, but that was gold. We're keeping it in. We're not cutting it out.
Well, just please know, I wasn't thinking about it from my perspective. I was just thinking about it like, that'll be fun. A fun thing to do when you have a dragon is to ride a dragon.
That would be fun.
That would be really fun. That would be enjoyable. Okay.
Save the dragon, ride a wing leader.
Oh, we need a sticker that says that.
Anyways, to save you from further embarrassment, we will move on. In the spirit of creating ice cream flavors, what flavors would you include in an ice cream that best represents you?
Okay, to our listener who sent us this, thank you. This is someone who pays attention to the podcast and what's happening, because during our House of the Dragon coverage, we had an idea to start a Ben & Jerry's ice cream line that was themed for House of the Dragon. So I think that's what this question is in reference to. So I went deep on this. At first I was like, oh, I'd be like, I don't know, Rocky Road. But no, I changed it up. So I'd start with a honey vanilla base, specifically the one from Jenny's Ice Cream. If you guys have those wherever you live, go. They're so good. It's literally the best ice cream ever. I picked vanilla because at the end of the day, I'm pretty simple. 99% of the time, I'm going to tell you exactly what I want. I'm very direct, okay? There's no mystery there. My husband loves this about me, actually, because whenever it's time to answer the dreaded question, what do you want for dinner? I always know. There's no question. I don't know, what do you want? No, I always know what I want. But there's still complexities there. And also, more importantly, everybody likes vanilla, okay? Just like everybody likes me. I'm just saying almost every ice cream flavor, the base is vanilla or starts out that way.
Fair enough, yeah.
Second, Oreos. Honestly, just because they're delicious, but specifically a holiday Oreo. I don't care what holiday, but you know, when you go to the store and they have the Halloween Oreos with orange cream and like a little pumpkin in print of the cookie, or like it's Christmas right now, so I just bought some that have red cream and like little penguins and stuff. The holiday Oreos are always the best. I have a theory about this, is because they're extremely fresh because they're made for the holiday season. So you know they're not making those weeks, months in advance. Those are the freshest Oreos you can get. I mean, I don't think Oreo is fair. I don't think they're selling like, old Oreos, but you know for sure those specific timeline in which they were created. And they're so good.
Ooh,
and
like
then
maybe a peppermint one, a peppermint Oreo or something, like a minty one.
Okay.
Mint? Oh, you don't like the minty?
Mint chocolate? Well, no. Okay.
What? Oh.
Okay, total sidebar. I saw the funniest meme the other day, and it was like, I love going to the grocery store because I like to go to the cookie aisle and see what those little freaks at Oreo have come up with. And I don't know why, but something about the way it was phrased was so funny to me. I would like, see what those little freaks are coming up with.
See, I do that with Trader Joe's specifically because Trader Joe's always has their holiday flavors for things. They rotate out their seasonal things. In the fall, they'll have like their fall flavored snacks and treats and cookies. And then in the winter time, they have their winter ones. And so yes, I agree with that meme.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those little freaks at Trader Joe's. See?
Yeah. Gotta know what's up.
Okay. The last two elements for my ice cream. A hint of sea salt because it enhances all the flavors. And you just know whenever something has sea salt, it's going to be bougie. Okay. And I'm bougie. I'm bougie.
I was waiting for the bougie element.
The bougie element. Damn, dang it. I should have said gold leaf because that would have just been so over the top and ridiculous. But I wouldn't actually put that in ice cream. That wouldn't be yummy. But last but not least, rainbow sprinkies. Oh my God. I'm sorry. My 3 and 5-year-old call them sprinkies. So I just sprinkles. Sorry. Rainbow sprinkles because I'm an adult. They're pretty and fun and just like me.
See, okay, sprinkles are like one of the toppings that I actually don't like. They're weird. They sit in ice cream and they get this like chalky texture and I'm like, ugh.
Everything you're saying is really upsetting to me.
Sorry. Okay. I won't yuck your yum too hard, but sprinkles are the one thing that I'm like, no, I just really don't like them.
Yeah. I respect your decision. I don't like it. I respect it. It's fine.
Mine is probably pretty different than yours.
Fair enough.
I am a big fan of chocolate just because I like the taste of it. So
fair enough.
Either a chocolate base or something chocolatey adjacent. I also, like you, enjoy Oreos or brownie chunks or cookie doughs. Something crunchy or something that gives it a nice like
weight.
Yeah, or something that you can chew into and like bite into. And it's delicious. So something like that. And then if it pairs well, some kind of fruit.
Oh,
but it has to pair well with chocolate. So maybe like strawberry swirl.
Cherries. People like cherries and chocolate. Yeah.
Sometimes.
That's not for me, but people like it.
I'm really picky about cherry flavors. I generally actually don't like cherry flavored things because it tastes too fake. Yeah, like maraschino cherries. I hate those. Those are disgusting.
I'm learning so much about you. You hate cherries. You hate rainbow sprinkles.
No, I like fresh, real cherries, but I don't like fake.
Oh, the candy
cherry flavors for cherries. Yes, for whatever reason, it always tastes like medicine. For some reason, it's just not.
I get that actually. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
interesting.
And then most of these are not really like personality related. They're just like flavors that I enjoy when it comes to my ice cream, but I do generally just like a rich flavor base and then adding something crunchy or chewy for texture purposes. But as I said, not sprinkles. Not sprinkles.
Okay, I can get down with that.
All right. Question 15. What book would you recommend for someone that thinks they do not like the fantasy genre?
This is a great question. I have 2 options. The first would be Harry Potter. And before you roll your eyes, I'm like, oh, everybody always says Harry Potter. I have a well thought out reason, okay? It's a classic. It's widely beloved because it's fantastic, but also because it's very relatable. And although there is magic and it's set in the realm of a magical world, it is also very human and there are a lot of real world things, character traits, and lessons as well. And so I think that really helps. When you get into Aragon or higher fantasy, it gets a little challenging because it's so far removed from the human experience. I also think the setting in terms of timeline helps, right? Harry Potter set in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. So that's a very relatable time. There's modern amenities.
That's a good
Whereas
point.
like Aragon is set in the olden times where they cook meat over a fire or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that makes it a little bit harder to relate to. So Harry Potter is a good on-ramp into that world. And then my second is a little bit different flavor, speaking of ice cream. Fourth Wing, not just because it's my favorite, but this is especially if you like smut romance and or if you liked young adult dystopian series like Divergent or The Hunger Games. Similarly to Harry Potter, there's a lot of real world elements. In reality, in the entire first book, there's actually not that much magic. Not really. The dragons are probably the most fantastical element, and they take a little bit of a backseat in Fourth Wing, in my opinion. It really is kind of more dystopian, Hunger Games kind of vibe. So there's definitely fantasy elements, but I think that's a good way to on-ramp yourself into a fantasy series.
Yeah, that's a good point. I thought all of your points about why you would say Harry Potter and Fourth Wing and all of those were great reasons. And I agree with you. This one was really hard for me to answer just because I think it depends on what elements you want in your book. Some people really enjoy the romance part of things. Some people just want the plot. Some people like historical fantasies or dark gothic fantasies. There's so much range in what you like and what you're drawn to. And so obviously we have very popular series like ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, and I would generally say that those are popular for a good reason. They've become very popular because many people have enjoyed them, no matter your starting point as far as your relationship to reading fantasy fiction goes. So I think those are good places to start. And yeah, as I've said, reading fantasy again, I just haven't had as much time to dive back into the genre to give like a really, really good list of recommendations. But places like Reddit, or there's a lot of Instagram accounts and stuff that have great resources for that.
Okay. If you had to make a holiday gift basket for Daemon Targaryen, what would you include?
This is so specific.
I know. This is someone who really loved their House of the Dragon coverage. You can tell they were like, this is my jam.
Okay. I literally just said a bottle of wine, a new sword, and the crown.
Okay. We were very similar. Almost. I started with, obviously, I wrap myself up and give myself as a gift to Daemon Targaryen.
Wow, look at you.
But then I was like, okay, let me be serious. And I wrote the heads of all of his enemies.
Wow, that got real dark.
I know. Well, it's what he would like. But then I was like, okay, what could I actually reasonably put in a gift basket? I put a nice bottle of wine or mead. Daemon seems like he likes to party. And so I would probably also include a new weapon of some kind, a dagger or sword, similar like to what you said. And definitely one that had a dragon engraved on it in the pommel or something. I think all of those things would make him very happy.
Excellent. I'm glad we're pretty closely aligned on that one.
Yeah. That's good because we spent like 40 or 50 hours in the House of the Dragon world. Probably more, honestly. So,
yes.
All right. Well, what is your favorite holiday tradition?
So I love food and I love to eat. So anything related to eating or making food is part of my favorite part of the holiday season. As I said earlier, I've grown to enjoy Christmas a lot more as I've gotten older, but I didn't grow up necessarily in a heavily Christmassy household. If anything, New Year's was a bigger deal. But yeah, as I alluded to earlier, my enjoyment of Christmas mostly just centers in relation to just anything that involves doing or spending time with either my friends or family and stuff like that. So what about you?
Well, I want to believe you, but this is the same person who told me a mere hour ago that you microwave your milk for hot chocolate. So it's really hard for me to believe that you really like food and cooking. I'm never going to let that go. Snacks? I know you do. No, I know you're a foodie. It's just funny. I have two favorite traditions. The first is my husband and I go see the Nutcracker Ballet every year together. We've only missed 1 year during COVID. And then actually, I don't think we're going to be able to go this year because we've had, as I said, a lot going on, which is very sad. But other than that, I think we've gone every year for the past, I don't know, decade or so. So I do really enjoy that. The second is usually we are able to arrange for family. Shout out to my family real quick. Thank you for everything you do. to watch our children for a weekend. And we just spend the weekend together, Christmas shopping, wrapping, watching Christmas movies. And it's just nice. It's just really nice to spend the time together uninterrupted and do Christmassy things. Don't get me wrong. I love doing Christmas with my kids. I mean, Christmas, it's for adults too, but Christmas in a way is for children, right? So I enjoy that. But it's nice to just enjoy Christmas together.
Oh, yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the same vein of questioning, what is your favorite holiday beverage?
Well, I sound a little silly with my answer now because of our hot chocolate debacle. But I said probably a chai tea or hot chocolate.
Okay.
Probably more chai tea. If you've watched us on YouTube pretty frequently, you've probably seen me either drinking sparkling waters or tea. Like that's generally what I'm drinking if I'm recording.
Lorraine is a drink girly. She has like 4.5 drinks going at all times.
I have many things that I'm drinking, yes. Gotta stay hydrated, okay?
Exactly. I think my answer to this is probably pretty obvious. Hot chocolate, duh. But if I had to pick a non-dairy beverage or a non-obvious one, I would say champagne punch. We do that for New Year's Eve a lot, and it's always really delicious.
What goes in champagne punch?
Oh, there's many, many different variations. It's usually champagne and then a variety of fruit juices. Pineapple juice is really common. Cranberry juice, orange juice. There's a lot of different recipes, but yeah, it's actually really good. I like it. Ooh. And it doesn't taste like there's alcohol in it. Because, champagne in a way has like a distinct flavor, but not really a flavor at all, Yeah. And so it really adds kind of the carbonated, bubbly feel. And so I have to be careful with the champagne punch. I have to feel careful.
Danger.
Yeah. You may get some drunk text from me on New Year's Eve. I say that every year, and I'm always like stone cold sober because every year I'm like, oh yeah, I have children. Duh.
You don't want to pull a Feyre. Have some fun on that berry wine.
Hey, if I could get some of that shit, I would.
Gotta go to Valaris,
All right, what is your favorite holiday song?
Ooh, okay. Justin Bieber's version of Mistletoe.
That was my second choice, but I didn't want to put it because I know.
Why? Why didn't you put it as your first one?
Well, because my first one, it's by Celine Dion, and she's a queen. Nobody can beat the queen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So my top one is Oh Holy Night by Celine Dion. That song, I always get a little embarrassed to tell people I like Celine Dion because I feel like when you say Celine Dion or Enya, people are like, are you 60 years old? But then I'm like, you know what? No, fuck it. Celine Dion has the voice of an angel. Okay. And everybody should enjoy her. And her whole Christmas album, it's just beautiful. And whether, in my opinion, whether you're religious or not and how you feel about the meaning of Christmas and what that means to you, it's still a beautiful song. And so it gets me every time.
Sounds like I gotta go listen to Celine Dion's Christmas album.
You do. You really do. But from like a pop perspective, I mean, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. And weirdly,
true, yeah.
One of
Mariah Carey Index.
My God, I just remember this one. Okay, my like vintage Christmas song is A Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC. Okay, that song always puts me in a good ass mood. Always. And then weirdly, I like Santa Tell Me by Ariana Grande.
Santa Tell Me,
are you really there? Because I can give it all away. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But really, Celine Dion. I can't believe I forgot about NSYNC. I even have like a whole Christmas playlist and I listen through it and I don't know.
Baby, bye, bye, bye for forgetting them.
Bye, 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 bye. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Woo. Okay. Our last song. Our last question before we wrap it up. What is your favorite part and or a thing to do for Christmas or in the holiday season?
I just generally speaking enjoy the spirit and environment of Christmas. I feel like everyone is just cheery and happy around this time. Plus, I like seeing people put up lights or Christmas decorations in town. It's mostly like a mood thing. So just like everybody being relaxed and like hanging out with family, I guess. It doesn't really matter what it is because, yeah, just Christmas vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you?
Funnily enough, my favorite thing is actually to wrap presents. Specifically, I wrap presents while I watch Christmas movies and I drink hot chocolate. And I freaking love wrapping presents. When I wrap presents and make bows, it is an art form and one that I thoroughly excel at. And I love it.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that.
I'll have to send you like my best work. I take pictures of them. I'll have to send them to you so you can be like, oh, because like truly I'm an artist.
I wish I could say I was good at stuff like that, but I'm not a crafty person and I'm okay with that.
But you're
There
so
are some people that are
creative.
yeah, but it's not in a crafty hands-on manner. I don't know how to explain
Fair
it.
enough.
I think I'm creative in like an idea, like mentally speaking. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a creativity that exists in like crafting related things. Okay.
Fair enough.
I am not a great artist. Not that art is about being good at it, but
well, a little bit. A little bit. I think just a little bit.
But it is. I mean, obviously the people that do art for a living are very good at it. But if you enjoy art and you like crafting and stuff, even if you're not good at it, that's okay. As long as you enjoy it.
Fair enough.
Okay, so that is all of our questions. So thank you all so much for joining us for our holiday bonus episode of the Booked on Fantasy podcast. As always, we are so glad you found us, and we hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. Stay nerdy, and we'll catch you all next week. Bye!
Bye! Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and stay tuned for some bloopers.
Yay!
Oh,
wow, busting out a Santa laugh.
I'm good at impressions, weirdly enough. I do a fair amount of impressions. I'll launch my audiobook for I can't do it. Oh my god, that's the best thing that you said all podcast. That's going in the intro, 100%. Oh, it's my turn. It's my turn. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I can't read. Okay.
So
I treat Christmas like it's a job.
My internet connection is unstable.
Boo, it's been doing good though. Oh, gee. Oh, and I feel like I didn't come my throat. Okay. All that milk. It's not good. My throat. Okay.
Phlegm.
A phlegm, exactly.
So, what about
I haven't. Oh, sorry. I messed it up. Say it again. Sorry.
Oh.
I feel like this question is hard because we discuss live in a fantasy world. That's not a real sentence.